I'm Declan Higgins. I'm running for the position of President of NUI Galway Students' Union. I'm currently the Vice President and Welfare Officer of the Union. I suppose over the last year we've had particular battles, I suppose, in terms of, we'd say, like the health unit and things like that, and I suppose had to decide if I wanted to be part of the future in that, and if it was definitely something I cared about at the time, but if I cared enough to carry it on for another year. I suppose having the experience of having gone through those battles and went to the meetings that were had, I didn't want that to get lost. I mean, a completely new union coming in would find it, I would imagine, completely difficult, or very difficult to negotiate in those circumstances, not having experienced it before. I suppose that was a lot of it, and I think I have a lot to offer as well. I suppose with welfare, you're dealing with the micro on the ground, you're dealing with students coming in day in, day out, and you don't get as much of an opportunity to bring that to the macro level and to represent those on the boards and those people on the boards and the issues they have. So I sat back and I thought about it, and I realised I do have another year to offer, and that we could actually do really excellent things for the next year. I think in terms of traits that a president should have, I think you have to be courageous in the sense that you have to say things maybe when they're not the most popular things to say, and you have to take positions even when they're not the most popular positions. And I think that's really important, and I think being able to evaluate a situation, being very discerning in a situation, being able to look behind what people are saying is massive. I mean, when you start in a job like this, people say things to you and you take them at face value, but then over time you get a skill of being able to look behind what people are saying, and I think that's definitely another aspect. And I think the fundamental one, and I think you get a great opportunity to develop it as a welfare officer, is dealing with people, so that because the fundamental thing is about trust, and if people trust you, that's the most important thing, because you're representing them. I think people skills are massive, being able to put people at ease and being able to secure people's trust. I suppose my main objective, because it's one of the reasons I actually ended up running, again, is the health unit. There's been a lot of discussion all year at Class Reps Council and between ourselves and the university management about it. And in those discussions, I think maybe not so much the truth, but what we're actually fighting for, or why we want it there, has gotten lost. I think protecting that as a frontline service. I've walked people from my office into the health unit numerous times. I shudder to think, if that wasn't there, if we didn't have that facility, what would happen? So protecting that as a frontline service as opposed to just protecting it, I think would be one of my main objectives. Another approach I hope to take, we will be, if I'm elected, engaging with the community and in a very large way in terms of community development and partnerships, because we form a massive part of the local community, and I think we need to develop that out further. And as part of that, I'd hope to run a survey. It's the student economic impact survey, whereby we could, I'd be lobbying the university to undertake the survey in order so we can see what is the impact of having students. They're positive and negative, but what are the economic benefits, you know, for local landlords, local shops? I mean, we can see it anecdotally, but when you say it to people, we have a massive impact on the local economy, they say, well, fair enough, you're saying that, but we don't have figures, I suppose, behind that. So that'd be another massive part of it. And then I suppose we're moving into a kind of an uncomfortable position where education is under threat, and I've always believed that education should be based on merit and not how rich you are or whatever. And especially, I definitely believed that at the start of last year, but now I have no doubt at all. And I think one of the tragedies of this year actually is to see a lot of people who came into our office whose families, you know, lost their jobs, or they themselves fell on hard times, and they weren't able to proceed with their education. I think that was one of the tragedies of the year, because education is so empowering, and I know it myself. It gives you the tools going forward in life, and you can critically think about things, and you get so much. It sets you up in your life, and to think that someone wouldn't be given that opportunity to go ahead and to have that opportunity, I think is very sad. And I think that would be a main priority of any union that I would hold. Well, I suppose what I bring to the table is experience, and that's not just experience gleaned from last year as well for officers. It's the whole college experience, and I suppose going through the different services and going through different things. It gives you a context going forward for what the problems are. A massive part, as I said, is experience, and last year opened my eyes to things I thought I'd never see, or things you think aren't going on or you hope aren't going on. And then you realise they are, and you realise that people are hurting a lot. And the massive part, like a new union coming in every year, they don't have the same context of the battles of the union the year before, and people can explain it and they can be blue in the face until they do. But you never really have that feeling for it. So I think experience is a massive part, and it's one of the reasons I'm running, is to bring that forward. Also to have a union for its members, by its members, so to engage as many students as possible. Obviously, I mean, there's a leadership within the union, the elected leadership, but then there's everyone else. And my feeling from the last number of years is that if the students aren't on board with the union, if they're not involved in their union, the union doesn't work for them, and it doesn't reflect what they're interested in. There's obviously two distinct elements to the union. There's the entertainment side and commercial service, all that in one area. And that's stuff, I mean, I believe in bringing in people to do that who are experts in that area. But the most important part of the union, and it always will be, I hope, is the representative side, that there's strong advocates there to fight the corner of whatever student it may be, for whatever reason, and that's really important. And I think that can get lost in other things that are going on and other priorities. I would build a union based on what our members want, and based also on best practice nationwide. Why can't our union be as good as, we'd say, in another place, to make it as good as we can? I think we do casework quite well here. Our entertainments need to be picked up, there's no doubt about that, but we'll bring people in to do that and to give people positive memories of that. But the representative side is the nuts and bolts, it's the bread and butter, it's what we have to be here to do. And I give a commitment and I give a promise that we will vindicate the rights of all of our members insofar as we can. We can't in every case, of course, that's the reality that we operate in. But insofar as we can, and insofar as our officers and our entire union can do to represent everyone, we will do that. And I hope that people will trust me to do that. I'm very mindful people trusted me last year, and that's humbling and honouring. I mean, you can't quite put into words when a lot of people come together and say, yeah, that guy, I trust him. It's not that I think that guy's cool, because I'm not cool at all, or so some people may think, but it's I trust that person, and that is, as I said, the most humbling thing. And I'm asking people again to trust me, to come back to me and say, yeah, I trust you because of last year. Last year was quite a successful year in many respects, that because of that, yes, Declan, we trust you. We know you'll have our back going forward, and that's humbling. And I hope people will do that again. And I can only give my commitment that I will give it everything I have, and that's all I can say on it.